The pool starts like the perfect escape. Heat, excitement, and a carefree dad with a plan for fun. No rules, no fuss, just freedom. But something's missing, and as the day unravels, a quiet truth begins to surface. One the kids never saw coming, and one many of us know all too well. The day kicks off with a restless kind of energy. It's hot, and no one wants to do anything. The kids are flopped around the house. Chili's fanning herself with a brochure. Bluey's talking into a fan. It's the kind of morning where even simple things feel like effort, and everyone's waiting for a reason to move. Then Bandit bursts in with noodles, a water pistol, and the promise of escape. They're going to the pool, and suddenly, Chili's gentle reminders, "Don't forget the swimming stuff," are dismissed as overcautious. Boring. She's a fusspot, and Dad is the fun one. It's something that happens in a lot of families. The fun parent versus the responsible parent. The one who packs the snacks and sunscreen, and the one who shows up with jokes and games. It's easy for kids to spot the fun, but it's a little harder to notice the scaffolding underneath it until it's not there. And for parents watching, this moment hits close to home. How often have we packed the bag, made the list, double-checked the essentials, only to be brushed off as too much? Until the moment those forgotten things are suddenly missed, and the invisible effort becomes visible in hindsight. So, Dad, Bluey, and Bingo go to the pool without Mom. At first, everything seems fine. Bluey and Bingo are thrilled just to be at the pool. Bandit is in his element, carrying a kid on his head, biting open the gate, cannonballing into the water. But little by little, the cracks start to show. Bluey doesn't have her thongs. The ground is too hot. Bingo's floaties are missing. No sunscreen, no hats, no towels, no snacks, no sinkies. Even the water makes Bluey's eyes sting. And suddenly, the fun doesn't feel so fun anymore. It's not that Bandit isn't trying. He is. He's doing his best to hold the experience together. But without the boring stuff, all the quiet, invisible things Chili usually takes care of, the day starts to unravel, and the kids begin to notice. They're not angry, but they're uncomfortable, hungry, tired, cold, a little overwhelmed. And while Bandit is still cracking jokes, even he starts to look a bit lost. For kids, that kind of uncertainty is unsettling. Parents are their compass, and when the adult in charge starts to drift, they feel it. The jokes don't land the same. The freedom stops being fun. It becomes a little scary. Not because anything is truly wrong, but because the person they count on to make it all okay suddenly seems unsure themselves. This is where the deeper message of the episode begins to surface. Fun without care doesn't last very long. Because sometimes, what starts as freedom just becomes friction. When nothing is in place to support the day, even the most exciting plans wear thin. And as a parent, that moment, when the laughter quiets and the kids start melting down, feels all too familiar. But you know, it's easy to laugh at Bandit's forgetfulness here. The sunscreen, the snacks, the towels. But underneath the chaos, there's something quietly vulnerable about his role in this episode. He wants to be the fun parent. He wants to give his kids a carefree day, and he truly believes for a moment that he can. But as things start to go wrong, we see something shift. Bandit isn't defensive. He's not angry or embarrassed. He just adjusts. He keeps trying. And when Chili arrives, he doesn't bristle. He doesn't retreat. He lets her help, gratefully. That's a lesson too. Because sometimes being a good parent isn't about getting everything right. It's about knowing when you need support and receiving it without ego. Bandit doesn't fail in this episode. He learns and he grows, just like Bluey. But it all turns around when Chili arrives. No fanfare, no frustration, just a warm smile and a big bag. filled with everything they forgot. Floaties, sunscreen, towels, rashies, snacks, sinkies, care. Bluey and Bingo run to her like she's a superhero, because in that moment, she is. And as the music lifts, the tone of the episode shifts. The shade is still shrinking. The chlorine still stings. But now, the kids are protected. They're free to explore and play again, because someone made sure they were safe, prepared, and looked after. And this is the moment Bluey finally gets it. She doesn't say it directly, but her face says everything. When Chili applies her sunscreen, Bluey no longer resists. She accepts it. She understands it, because she's just lived through what it's like to be without it. Mom wasn't being fussy, she was being thoughtful. Mom wasn't boring, she was essential. There's something deeply familiar here for adults, especially for parents. How many times have we played the role of the fun one or the boring one? How many times have we seen the joy of the moment come at the cost of the preparation no one noticed? Packing snacks, filling water bottles, tracking hats and goggles and sunscreen. It's invisible labor, the kind of care that goes unrecognized until it's missing. In the pool, Chili doesn't ask for thanks. She doesn't say, "See, I told you so." She just shows up quietly and fills in the gaps. She restores comfort without blame, and in doing so, she teaches a lesson more powerful than any lecture could offer. She teaches that love often looks like preparation, like anticipation, like remembering all the things that keep someone safe and happy, even if it makes you seem boring. It's a reminder for kids, but also for us adults, about the quiet, consistent effort that makes joy possible. And maybe even more importantly, it's a reminder of how easily we undervalue people who make things look easy. The smoother the experience, the less obvious the work behind it. But just because something runs effortlessly doesn't mean it didn't take a great deal of care to make it so. There's something easy about celebrating the fun parent. They're the ones cannonballing, making jokes, skipping the rules. But the pool gently reminds us that fun is fleeting without a foundation. Chili represents something we often undervalue: emotional load, the mental checklist that keeps things running. She didn't just remember to pack floaties, she remembered what happens when they're not there. And maybe more importantly, she didn't hold it over anyone's head. She just showed up, as she always does, with exactly what was needed. It's a moment that speaks to anyone who's ever felt unseen in their care. To every parent who's quietly done the packing, planned the meals, cleaned up the messes, and gotten called a fusspot for it, this episode is for you. It validates that kind of love, the practical kind, the unglamorous kind, the kind that gets called boring by the people who rely on it most, until they suddenly realize just how much it matters. The final montage is pure joy. The family, reunited, is now truly able to play. Bingo has her floaties, Bluey dives for sinkies, Bandit pushes them through the water like a torpedo, Chili floats peacefully in a donut ring. No more scrambling, no more complaints, just play, just presence. And then, in the last few seconds, we get something rare in children's television, a quiet, nonverbal moment of gratitude. Bluey, underwater, picks up dive rings. She looks up. Her parents, once the fun dad and the boring mom, are floating together, noses touching, holding hands. And Bluey smiles. She doesn't say it out loud, but she sees it now. Mom wasn't just the one who packed the bag, she was the one who made this possible. And that's the real power of the pool. Not just in the comedy or the chaos, but in that quiet realization, care isn't always exciting, but it's everything. If this episode made you rethink what care really looks like, or reminded you of all the invisible work that keeps life running, consider liking and subscribing. We explore the deeper truths behind Bluey, one episode at a time.